So, as we continue to watch all of the events of early National Signing Day, we need to talk about a flipped commitment that is huge because four-star tight end Jaleel Skinner, who'd been committed to Alabama, has flipped that commitment from Alabama to Miami in a move we got to discuss. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. So hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you surprised Skinner flipped his commitment? And let me know what you're thinking. And if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions, though they may seem small, are massive to content creators such as myself, and both getting picked up and maintained by the YouTube algorithm. But with all of that being said, we need to talk about this because this is a surprising move, and one that can trace its roots to the coaching carousel that we have seen take hold of college football. Because Mario Cristobal is a guy who was with the Oregon Ducks and was recruiting at an insanely high level. Go back and look at the classes Cristobal was able to assemble in his time at Oregon, and this is a man who can recruit at a very high level. In fact, some of the more intriguing players on the defensive side in college football, he was able to get a part of the Ducks. Whether we're talking Justin Flo, Noah Sewell, really putting together top-tier recruiting classes. But whenever the Miami job came open and Cristobal found himself taking that job, one had to ask the question, how will he be able to affect recruiting? Because the state of Florida is a state that has been absolutely gone through for years now. Florida is home to some of the most talented high school prospects in the nation, but other institutions not in the state of Florida have been able to raid the state for far too long. And that's something that's really negatively affected Florida State, Miami, and Florida. If you're not able to have any sort of lock on your state, it's going to be really hard to be successful. And I understand, I've always said this, you're not going to win every battle for your state. Recruiting is way too national now, recruiters are far too good, and that's just not going to be the name of the game anymore. You're not going to be able to lock up your state, but you cannot miss everything out your state, and you cannot have your state raided. It's going to happen where Alabama, Georgia, these massive brands come in and get talent out of your state. That's to be expected. Recruiting is way too national. But to lose everything is a problem, and that's been a glaring problem for the state of Florida for quite some time. So when you get in a guy such as Mario Cristobal, that question that I just posed must be asked. Can he affect recruiting for Miami? And though it is far too early to give a definite yes or a definite no, I will say early returns are looking good because today Jaleel Skinner, who'd been committed to the University of Alabama as a top-tier tight end in the nation, a top 100 player in all of high school football out of IMG Academy in Florida, flipped his commitment from Alabama to Miami. And this is a big move because Alabama has been synonymous with top-tier offense here recently, and they've been doing really interesting things with the tight end position. Their tight ends have found a lot of success, and they've been mismatches within the offense, and we can look to this year as a continuation of that. Even though I don't think that the tight ends have gotten as much action as many of us expected, they've shown up in times and caused massive differences in games, and they've been able to affect games in positive manners for the Crimson Tide. So Jaleel Skinner, watching that, undoubtedly had to be excited at the prospect of playing within that offense, and especially the Heisman Trophy winner this year, Bryce Young, returning next year, and he's only going to get better. I mean, that young man has gotten better every time he's taken the field this year, in my opinion, and I have no reason to expect that's not going to continue with another full offseason under his belt, and a year in which he can apply the lessons learned to the football field, because now the lessons in practice are going to make much more sense that he has this Division I real experience in college football. So whenever you have that, if you're Miami and you're able to flip a Jaleel Skinner, a top tight end from Alabama to Miami, that is a definite win, especially when you look at the high the Alabama recruiting class is riding, and when you look at some of the uncertainties presented in the Miami football department. Because even though you get in Cristobal and this looks to be a turning of the page and a new chapter being formed, and hopefully a chapter that'll be positive, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Whereas you look at Alabama right now and there's much more certainty as to what tomorrow brings for the Crimson Tide, or at least in theory there's more certainty as to what tomorrow brings for the Crimson Tide. That's why this is such a big win. because we know Mario Cristobal can recruit, but it was how fast are we going to be able to see these returns? And Jaleel Skinner is about as instant of a return as you could want because he is a top-tier prospect. He is the type of prospect that you as a fan can look forward to next year and thinking, you know, this is someone who can really affect change on this offense. This is someone who can come in here and be a mismatch for us. He's someone who can create offense. I say it all the time. If you want to generate easy offense for your quarterback, obviously you have to have an offensive line that gives him time. That goes without saying. But top-tier tight end play and running backs who are both effective out the backfield in the traditional capacity, as well as out the backfield catching the ball, can help a quarterback tremendously. And Miami has some quarterback talent that is at least intriguing to see what they're able to do. The win of Jaleel Skinner is a massive victory. I've said it multiple times, but now it's time to see, can Miami really start trying to lock up their area? Can they stop the bleed of recruits that have been leaving the state? And Jaleel Skinner is certainly a fantastic way to start. So where does this leave both programs? Well, for Alabama, you're still a top recruiting class in the nation, and though this is a hit for the Crimson Tide, anytime you lose a top 5 player in their respective position, a top 100 player in the nation, that's a hit. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is a hit. I will say this, though, for Crimson Tide fans, myself included, that when you look at Alabama's class right now, not only do they have Elijah Brown, who is a very talented tight end, someone who I think is going to translate very well, really excited to see what he does, but there's also Amari Niblack, someone who Nick Saban himself lauded over when he got into camp. Niblack rated as an athlete, but he's somebody who I think is going to be really intriguing at whatever position they put him at, but tight end is certainly in the fold. And if we keep that at the forefront of our minds, we could then kind of realize that Alabama may have 2 tight ends in this class, depending on where they end up putting Niblack. And when you look at it from that perspective, Skinner was probably looking at a loaded room already, whereas Miami presented him a much earlier opportunity to play because Alabama has had a stranglehold on IMG as far as being able to consistently get top-tier talent out of IMG. That's been a place Alabama has turned to consistently, but this is a big win for Cristobal to be able to go to IMG, to be able to get Skinner, who was committed to Alabama, and be able to flip him when you've only just gotten the job. This is something that should excite Miami fans because, like I just said, from Alabama's perspective, from Miami's perspective, you just get a phenomenally talented prospect in, and the first indication of what Mario Cristobal can do on the recruiting trail. Like I said in this video, it's too soon to say whether he's going to be able to do anything to turn around Miami to the program they once were. It's even too soon for me to say he's going to be the guy that can lock up the state of Florida. That remains to be seen. What I can say is that this is a good sign and one that absolutely should excite Miami fans. Hop down below, let me know what you're thinking about this move. That's it. See ya.